Um, this is a video regarding a probably a known issue by the new Sabercore 3.0 soundboard by Saberforge, and I found this a very interesting issue, and I want to discuss that with you guys. Yep. Okay, here we go. So, I found this interesting topic on Saberforge forum. So if you go to open topics and then you go to Sabercore 3.0 swing issues. If you browse for that, and you will find the topic itself that discusses that. Hey Lord McKean, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So what happened was this person had an issue with the Sabercore, and we can show that here. So he made the video.
Alright guys, I want to see if you're having the same issue with your Sabercore 3.0 like I am. So I'm going to post it real quick. With the motion, it's kind of weird.
Cool.
I've tried lowering the motion.
So he's talking about what he experienced with the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. So when he starts to move it really fast, it starts to have all kinds of sounds.
Hear that? And then if I do this, if I just do a simple spin.
So when it starts to spin a lot, it seems like that the soundboard keep registering swings, but it's not. It's like ghost swings, but then an endless loop of it.
Ghost poop.
Now he tried different sound fonts, and with each sound font he has the same issue on the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So you can hear there's an issue.
It's like registering multiple swing sounds at once. It's being really weird. So I don't know if you guys have any solutions.
So that is what he had as an issue, right? And he posted that on the Saberforge website. Then they start talking about it and say, hey, people gave some advice. Maybe it's the swing sensitivity or whatnot. And then one of the admins jumped on it. Brax, he say, I don't think it's a design flaw, but we'll see what I can find about it. So the admin on that forum starts to investigate the issue, and Brax says in the video, so you said in your video you adjusted the motion sensitivity. Did you adjust your spin sensitivity as well? Then the person said, his name is Will Foxy Love, so yep, he set it on 0, which we will show shortly. And then he said, then Brax of course goes into troubleshooting for him. He said, is the battery still good? Is it full charged? Then he says, I know you were working indoors in the original video, but could you get the video some actual swings? So just so we can better perspective of the behavior. Worst case scenario, I have to submit an RMA, and if we cannot come up with a solution. So okay, so the thing is now to try outside, to do some swings, see if that keeps happening again or not. He said the motion sensitivity is already set to 0, so I don't know at this point why you still need to do outdoor swings. I think Saberforge just tried to come up with something else. Nick also has similar issues. He said now in the chat, so we can take a look at it in a second. Let me open the chat really quick, so you guys can also see the chat. Because I want to share, YouTube, youtube.com, shit, I do this offhand. I want to see with you, Rebel Chumps, jeez, if you guys also experience the same issues, because if that's the case, I want to, we have to raise that further. So let me see, pop out chat. So, so we just have the chat open, because I want to gather as much information from you guys about the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard, because it seems there might be an actual issue with that soundboard. So the person goes into the fact that, okay, did a full charge of the battery, blah 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 blah, and then Brax came back and said, okay, so the charge was good on the battery according to my source. If you reduce the motion and spins to 0, there should be no any sound at all. That's what he already said. So the guy already said he put it to 0. So anyway, it's stupid. So the guy Brax actually says to him, you need to put your motion sensitivity all the way to 0 in order to resolve it. if I interpretate it that way, then I think that's not really resolving the case. That is just turning on the sensitivity 0. So if you adjust it to a certain spot and save, disconnect, and then go back in, the settings were where you left them. I know this sounds tedious, but I'm trying to save you from having to go down an RMA route as possible. So 2 things. So first of all, he wants the customer trying to adjust his sensitivity to 0 and then start adjusting it, the sensitivity settings till there's a sweet spot. And then he says, this is important, I'm trying to save you from having to go down an RMA route if possible. So Saberforge admits the RMA route is probably shit and very tedious. So I am really interested to see that somebody from Saberforge, Brax here, is trying to save somebody from going an RMA route. So that must be pretty shit. If everything else fails, the number 1 troubleshoot technique that has solved for many strange issues is reflashing the firmware if it comes down to. So okay, then I have that as an option. All the settings saved, blah blah blah. So he goes to it again. He set all the sensitivity to 0. You see it yourself.
Brax, thanks for responding. I'm going to show you in this video exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm in the settings. As you can see, motion sensitivity and spin sensitivity are both at 0. So you can see that all 3 fonts. Clash is on 57, but that don't really come into
So
play.
everything on 0.
It is saved. I verified that multiple times. If I hit next, then I'll hit save. Everything will save. I also hit burn to chip most of the time, but for time's sake, I won't do that this time. Let me get this out.
Okay, so here we go. And he's gonna show us again how it works.
Now
And
you can see,
same issue.
I'm gonna ignite it. Right, motion and swing are both on 0, but yet I'm still getting this.
If this is 0, still quite intense. If this is 0, it's still quite intense. It's way too loud.
I'm trying to eat this.
As you can hear, it's like making a lot of...
swings at once. It's worse with other fonts.
So it makes a lot of weird sounds, and he's gonna show it off outside as well. So I'm really curious if you guys watching now, online or offline, experience the same issues with your Sabercore 3.0 soundboard, because it seems like they actually have a design flaw in their soundboards.
Swing sensitivity both on 0. Still hear the sound. If I move it, still making sounds both on 0, so it's not really that. Swings are much better with it on 0. They're not doubling up as much, but they still are there.
Seems like the soundboard definitely is not fantastic and having issues. You can watch the videos yourself. So he goes on to troubleshooting, trying to to please the customer and help to fix the issue. Unless anybody else have a suggestion, it looks like an RMA that will requisite the course of action. Now then he ships him out. So the person actually ships back to his Saber to have his Sabercore 3.0 soundboard fixed. There is another user in that same topic that also has the issue. He say update the firmware. This is another person. Tune each setting. Yeah, that's already done. So that's not really an option. And then somebody else jumps on it. He said, given I have this issue in 2 different Sabercore 3.0 soundboards. So there's another user have the same issue on 2 other soundboards, Sabercore 3.0 soundboards. That is really interesting. So here is why I make this video, because there's a ball that starts to roll here. It's just not an isolated issue in my personal opinion, I think. So I went through some extra quality control apparently. I'm not sure the actual something on RMA can fix this in more parts of the board itself. So this person say, hey, it's probably on the board itself. It's probably not an isolated issue. It seems more something to do how the board is programmed, perhaps a firmware issue where the sound priorities aren't clearly set. For example, I could be on a force effect, but if I swing, the effect will stop midway and register a swing sound. Same as with the longer blaster block valves, and certainly with every swing. The only thing where it does not do this is during the lockup effects when there's no swing registered. Okay, so it seems like the sound valves are not played properly or ended properly when a swing or something else detected by the soundboard. Again, I suspect this had to do with the programming more than anything else, because changing sensitivity will not fix the underlying issue of the soundboard registered and run multiple swings. If this is not the case, or somehow I managed to snag 2 defective boards, doubtful. I also think it's doubtful, because this is 3 soundboards, 3 Sabercore soundboards with the same issue so far in this topic. Then there's a much bigger issue than that SF will need to address with those who already have the boards and moving forward. I suspect more of a firmware update, however, is needed. If there's such a trend, the RMA process and communication with customer service is the only way it will be identified. Okay, what is not being able to use on this form? Like, why is this form not appropriate for that? That is why it's so important to make sure that concerns such as these points their way, as there's no frequent as they don't frequent the forum browsing such thing. Okay, so they don't use their own forum to assist their own customers, apparently, at least according to Brax. Alright, cool. I sent a Saber this morning. Should I make a video to the Facebook group as well? This is funny. Alright, cool. I sent off the Saber this morning. Should I make and post a video in the Facebook group too? So then, this is very interesting. Here's where Saberforge's own admin says that will not be recommended course of action. Suspecting an issue is systematic, and making that amounts to a public concern announcement that effect. Making what amounts to a public announcement to the effect are 2 very different things. While your intent may be altruistic, it could be interpreted in a negative way. So, okay, so he has an issue with his soundboards, but he's not allowed to put that video that he put in this forum to the Facebook group, because that will cause some negative interpreted in a negative way about Saberforge products. So Saberforge basically stating, don't share your issues with the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard on the Facebook group or on other media sources, because it can negatively impact the Saberforge feedback. I mean, what people think about Saberforge, and I think that is wrong, guys. If the Sabercore 3.0 indeed have issues, you should voice it out everywhere, because Saberforge clearly want to keep it under the table. They want to have this issue off their plate, and I think there is exactly what I had as an issue with the Sabercore 2.0. There were some known issues with that. They were never really addressed, and they always lingered. And the same now with the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. So I ask you, if you have similar issues with your Sabercore 3.0 soundboard, please voice it out. Voice it out. Make sure that everybody with a Sabercore soundboard has a chance that Saberforge actually gonna action this issue and gonna fix it for everybody with the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard, instead of just brushing it off as an issue of your battery charge, or an issue with the sound font, or as a end user that it's your issue, because it's clearly not, because there are multiple issues reported about the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard, and Saberforge customer support pays attention to issues that cause RMA, and if when a trend is defect, then they act accordingly. It would leave it to them to make that determination. Okay, so that is also wrong, because why would if the user, the client says, okay, it's a broken soundboard, they clearly showed what's wrong. I mean, Saberforge have to action that. And this is not the only topic, so we can search. Let's say Sabercore 3.0 swing. There's a whole bunch of topics about this. And let's see, there's a whole, where are the other topics? Recent topics. Wow, 170 topics.
Money.
What's this? Random restarts. That's another issue. So people having issues with their Sabercore. This is another topic. So I'm new to Sabercore for Christmas is champion tier, so it's a Sabercore 3.0, and it seems like the soundboards have random restarts. So we have some issues here. So we have these swings as an issue. We have random restarts of the soundboard, and what else? We're just gonna find them. We're gonna take a look. There's a whole bunch of Sabercore 3.0 issues out there, and that is the nice thing about this about this forum. You can find them on the forum because they don't delete them actively from the forum, so that is good, unlike Ultra Sabers, which immediately deleted all their stuff. And let me see.
I bring my back.
Okay. Let me see. There's more topics. So I want to know from you guys as well in the comments what you think about that. Do you agree with that? Do you think the Sabercore 3.0 might have a known issue, or maybe not? And I would like to know from you guys if you say, yeah, that is an issue, or maybe you say, no, that's absolutely nothing. You're exaggerating again, Rebel Chumps. There's no issues with it. Blah 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 blah. But I highly suspect there's a lot more people out there that are not voicing out yet their issues with the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. I think there's definitely issues out there, and they being actively try to silence those issues. And we got some replies here as well while reading that. Nick says, I had a problem with the connection. What happened in the video? So okay, we have Nick as well having the same issues as said. Lord McKean says, it's weird. I had an issue with my Sabercore 3.0 where it only played one sound font. I updated the firmware for the Sabercore editor and it's resolved it. Okay, that's cool. Maybe it's a firmware issue. Maybe there's something with the firmware updates going wrong. Arrow C says hello, and Richard Scott said, what's the cost of the soundboard like this one? It's around $250 for the soundboard. Lord Malkeen says, my swings tend to overlap and have similar problems on my discipline. So okay, it seems like this is not pulled out of the air. We have people here in the chat experiencing something similar. We have multiple reports on the Saberforge forums, and I think more and more of these issues will pop up and come up. I think the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard has issues. It does have the issues that are being discussed so far, and I think Saberforge need to act to that and make this a priority. Lord McKean said, if they fix their board, maybe people wouldn't complain and they wouldn't have to deal with negative feedback. Nick Wood said, what would happen if he did post the video anyway? Well, if that person did post it, despite the person Brack saying that would be unwise to do, which I don't agree with. I think it would be very wise for the customer to share these kind of videos, because Saberforge all too much want to silence their customers that are having issues, and I'm just very curious to see as well that Brack says that will be that he basically want to prevent the user having go through RMA, which in my personal opinion, I think that's pretty bad. That means that you cannot really have an easy time to recall on your warranty if you buy an expensive lightsaber and there's something wrong with the soundboard. Or ROC said, for a mature company this should not be happening. I agree with that. Lord McKean said, if he posted it, he might be banned from the Facebook group. I know for a fact he would be banned from the custom lightsaber group. He would be instantly banned, because they don't want anything leaking issues about the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. I think they have issues with that soundboard, period. Also, interestingly enough, that Shamim are a big... Is it a heart shape? No, it's not a heart shape. This is a heart shape. Shamim left that Facebook group because of a dispute with Phil Isherwood about The Last Jedi. I think it's very good for Shamim and his career in the custom lightsaber community to distantiate himself with the owner and Saberforge directly, but instead just focus on the hobby and the love and everybody. Doesn't matter if the love is also involving lightsabers from Saberforge. It's just more like he is not associated with that company as a very tight knitted web. Richard, yeah, I do agree. It's a very poor way to handle that kind of issues with the soundboards. So I'm very interested. Let me see if we find some more stuff on YouTube as well. Sabercore 3.0 issue. Let's see. I don't see them at the moment. Of course, we have here is one of the guys that are actively endorsing Saberforge. He's one of the admin on the Saberforge forum, so we will never say there are issues with Saberforge parts and soundboards and whatnot. Swing issue. So that's why I always say, guys, you need to find the unbiased people. Don't go for these Saberforge / Phil Isherwood ass lickers. Yeah, cool. But I would say, guys, be very cautious. Check out the many forums. Check out YouTube and whatnot. Just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it, on the developments regarding the Sabercore 3.0 issues. I don't think it's isolated. The reason why I made this video is because Saberforge admin is basically try to have that issue not shared in on Facebook or in public media. He also basically states that RMA your lightsaber and basically try to get to your own warranty arrangements that you have for your Saberforge products are hard to do, and he basically discouraged the users as much as he could do that. But just very, very interesting with the fact that it's obvious a Sabercore 3.0 soundboard issue, and I hope, of course, for anybody who's watching now with said Bart, that the issue is just isolated to maybe your first 2 batches of Sabercore boards. Maybe the first few hundred or few thousand boards have that issue. Maybe they have a new iteration that resolved the issue. We don't know yet. They didn't make it official yet. But I would keep a very close eye going forward on what's is going on with Saberforge and the Sabercore 3.0 soundboards. And I am strong believer there are issues with that soundboard, and they don't want to have that come out. So I really believe it has to do with the way how the swings are overlapping. It does sounds like very familiar to like an NAC soundboard, but with NAC it's done in a very good way when it interrupts the swings for the next swing, so you have a very fast follow up on different sounds. But here with the Sabercore, I think they made mistakes. I think they definitely made mistakes there. Maybe it's this. Maybe the CPU on the board is just not fast enough to basically calculate the swings being registered, and then he just basically give false swings or cut off the wrong types of fonts that were for blaster block up or something else, whatever. I think there's some serious issues. We're gonna see how it plays out. Keep a close eye on it. Nick, we can talk about that next time for Shamim and Phil. It's not really big drama from that perspective, but it's I think a good step for Shamim going forward and for the community as a whole to see that rat's nest there tumbling, and basically people are just leaving that place left and right, and all for the greater cause of the hobby itself. And it doesn't matter if it's a saber from Saberforge, Ultra Sabers, whatever, but the hate mongering, etc., that is something we have to step away from. Anyway, that was my 50 cents on the Sabercore 3.0 soundboard. Leave in the comments what you think about it. If you're watching this online, offline, I want to know what you think about it. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.
Wait, guys, and you subscribe to YouTube.
Yeah.
Subscribe
to YouTube. Thank you.
Go watch over there on the video. Watch over there on a video.
Yeah, just watch over there. Exactly over here. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.